side of the studio. Will, over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Let's jump right in with a look at the markets. It's a lighter than usual Monday with markets in Europe and many Latin American countries closed for the Easter holiday just after midday in New York, and not much action after last week's rally, though it's a major week for company earnings. Halliburton shares were up earlier over 3% after positive first quarter results. Investors are also waiting to hear from Netflix, which will be releasing its results after the closing bell. Apple, Ford, and McDonald's are among others that will be announcing their earnings this week. But also weighing on investor minds are tensions in Ukraine. Let's take a look now at that story and some others grabbing business headlines today. Things not too smooth now between the West and Moscow after the Kremlin declared the Ukrainian territory Crimea part of Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ambitious plans for the region. He presented a draft law to create a gambling zone in Crimea. So could it become the Las Vegas of Russia? Crimea is home to Russia's Black Sea Fleet and is also a prime holiday destination for vacationing Russians. Kraft Foods is voluntarily recalling more than 43,000 kilograms of hot dogs after it was discovered they may contain cheese. The company believes its classic cheese dogs were mistakenly packaged as classic wieners. An unwelcome surprise for those with an allergy to dairy. A customer alerted Kraft to the mistake Friday, and U.S. Food and Safety authorities labeled the situation a Class 1 safety hazard. It's a much anticipated announcement. Vivendi's French telecom unit, SFR, is to partner with Britain's Vodafone. The two telecom giants are expected to unveil a network sharing venture. Earlier this month, Vivendi accepted Numerical's bid for SFR, an offer of at least 13.5 billion euros in cash, plus a 20% stake in the new entity. Well, video game giants recently announced sales figures for their most recent version of their high-tech gaming consoles. Sony beat its expectations, selling 7 million units of the PS4, while Microsoft had mixed figures for the Xbox One. However, it was Nintendo that was fearing the worst, slashing Wii U sales projections from 9 million to under 3 million units after a weak holiday season. But there was a time when Nintendo was the only game on the block. It's the 25th anniversary of the Game Boy. Delana D'Souza takes us down memory lane.
It's been 25 years since Nintendo's Game Boy changed the rules of the game. The device allowed users to change games while on the move. It also turned Super Mario and Donkey Kong into global franchises. Although Game Boy fans may be a little older now, they still remember it fondly.
They were amazing, although the screen is very, very small, and they are very, very different from the kind of games that we have nowadays. But I think we like them as much as people enjoy them now.
Although Nintendo didn't invent portable gaming, the Game Boy's price and software kept the competition at bay. The company sold almost 119 million devices until it was discontinued in 2003. Analysts say it's the Game Boy that paved the way for the industry today.
Regardless if it's console games or smartphone games, because the basic concept is the same. I mean, you just play on a portable screen, and you have a gaming experience delivered to you on a small screen.
The gaming environment has shifted considerably from Nintendo's heyday. The company's Wii console has faced stiff competition from Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox. Last week, Nintendo said it would stick to its console business despite slumping sales and a growing threat from cheap, downloaded gaming apps.
I think the big problem they had is that they tried to hold on to this model of being a single point, a single console that people develop for. They're only going to be able to reach a couple of 100 million customers and consumers.
Experts say Nintendo will have to reposition itself if it wants to stay relevant 25 years after its Game Boy turned the industry on its head.
One last story now. Some call Enrique Duran a thief, and others say he's Spain's version of Robin Hood. He swindled banks out of nearly 500,000 euros. In a new interview with Britain's Guardian, he says he doesn't regret his actions. From 2006 to 2008, he took out 68 commercial and private loans from 39 banks with no intention of paying them back. He then farmed the money out to social activists and funded anti-capitalism projects. After spending 2 months in prison in 2009 and making bail for 50,000 euros, he's been on the run. So whether you point the finger at the man or at the banks, there's a lesson here about financial responsibility. We'll let you, Mark, decide which one to point the finger at.
Well, I think we could all end up living in the woods if that was anything to go by. William Hildebrandt there with all the business. And what a fascinating story to end there. That man making his own judgments about the system, if you like. It's time to turn our attention to sport. We're starting with the Champions League. There could be a key absentee for Chelsea. And here with that, and so much more besides, Dan Levy.
Yeah, Mark, that's right. Of course, it's Eden Hazard, the man who limped out of that quarter-final second leg win for Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain. Now absent from training on Monday ahead of the semi-final showdown with Atletico Madrid. It's going to be pretty tough for Jose Mourinho's side. Of course, they do have options. Andre Schürrle and Mohamed Salah likely to come in for the Belgian 23-year-old international. He could still be, of course, fit in time, but it doesn't look likely. And the Spanish La Liga leaders will probably be breathing a small sigh of relief not to be facing one of the players up for the Player of the Year award in the English Premier League. Now, Fernando Torres could be in line to play against his former side at the Vicente Calderón for the first time since he left in 2007, especially because Samuel Eto'o is not in the Chelsea squad either for this particular game. Chelsea coming into the match following defeat against Sunderland in the Premier League on Saturday, losing to the home side, or rather the bottom side in the table. First home defeat in the league for Jose Mourinho as the Chelsea boss. So something of a milestone there, and it could